MSNBC's Rachel Maddow is under fire this morning from the left, believe it or not, for the elaborate conspiracy theory that she offered, attempting to tie the Trump administration's travel ban to the deaths of the 4 U.S. soldiers in Niger.
September 24th this year, so 3.5 weeks ago, the Trump administration announced its new Muslim ban. They added in Venezuela and they added in Chad. The government of Chad announced that they had completed the withdrawal of all Chadian troops from their neighboring country, Niger. Right after that, that's when 4 U.S. Army soldiers got attacked by a large contingent of ISIS fighters in Niger, and 4 of them killed within days of the start of the Chadian soldiers being withdrawn.
So did she cross the line? Here to discuss, Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce and Democratic strategist Chuck Rocha. Thank you both for joining us this morning.
Hi there.
Nice hat, Chuck. You know I love that. So let's get started with this right away. Basically, her premise here, Tammy, I'll start with you,
sure,
is that because of the travel ban, Chad pulled out of Niger, and therefore there was an uptick in terrorist attacks, and that's what happened to these 4 Green Berets. But that doesn't hold any water.
Well, it doesn't, and this is why she's come under fire from liberals who are fans of hers. She is really the #1 liberal voice that's out there, and this is one of the issues, is the issue of now credibility. And their complaint has been that this is so bizarre and so just not correct when it comes to the facts on the ground that she's endangering her own brand and also the legitimacy of liberal commentating. Because the two really have no relationship whatsoever. It's not even about theory or opinion. It's the literal dynamic of where our troops were on the other side of the country, the Chadian troops.
About 800 miles away at least.
800 miles away. So this is where the complaint is, and it's true because, look.
So before you get to that point, let's get Chuck in here.
Sure.
Chuck, what do you think about it? I mean, did she just go way too far this time?
You know, I get to do a lot of these news shows all over the country, and I listen to lots of commentators say lots of crazy things, and sometimes they're true. Most of the time they're not true. But I think that's the great thing about our society of having an open press. Can you go too far? Absolutely. Anybody can go too far in everything and anything they do. But when you start talking about constraining our free press, I think it's a danger. But I also think that words do matter, and we should get as many facts out there to people as we can.
Yeah, I mean, there's some level of responsibility here, and when you're so factually wrong, and it seems like, Tammy, she was just trying to get people stirred up for the sake of getting them stirred up without worrying about the facts.
Well, even the dynamic of her delivery, which you saw there, was as though she knew some secret and she was going to share it with you. And we have all been dealing with the issue of fake news, and this is the other problem that we've got, is the American people, of course, are trusting news media less, and that's not necessarily good for our democracy. But this is the kind of reporting, if you want to call it that, which is really fantasy that does a damage to the media itself. And the fantasy of it here is this. They really want to cover the president, but if you cover the news, it's mostly good news. And as a result, you get into a position where you have to actually make something up or do this weird conspiracy in order to give an audience what they want. And that's not helping the medium at all.
And we know that the Huffington Post, for example, they're not a fan of President Trump. Let's take a look at what they had to say about it. Now, get your response, Chuck. They said there was just one problem with Maddow's theory. It's so flimsy that it could be debunked by a quick glance at a map, let alone a phone call with an expert. And then Mediaite, also not a fan of President Trump, saying Maddow connecting dots between travel ban and Niger ambush doesn't hold up to scrutiny. So is she also doing damage to the left as a whole, Chuck?
Well, I think we should hold everyone accountable, no matter what side of the political spectrum we're on. But the thing that really bothers me is that out here doing politics in the field and running these elections that I'm involved in, you see the base of both parties get riled up by every little thing that they hear. So you should really have responsibilities to be as factual as possible, because there's people actually listening and who are participating in our electoral system who are really hungry for information, and we should get them as many facts as possible.
Yeah, and there's people out there actually dying for our country, which is what was the case here, these 4 Green Berets in Niger. Thank you both for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.